Hi, welcome to Financial Freedom with Sandeep Anand. This is the August 2020 episode of my podcast. As usual, we will have four sessions: Stock of the Month, Money Tip or Wealth Tip, Book of the Month, and finally, and end up with a Personal Mastery Tip. The first one is Stock of the Month. Well, it's definitely the company that's in news for all the good and bad reasons. Of course, not the bad reasons because of the company. And I'm talking about Microsoft. Microsoft is the stock of the month. Microsoft came up with blockbuster results driven by their cloud segment, Azure, and the revenue is increasing by 13% overall. Their commercial cloud, for the first time, record breaking. They surpassed $50 billion dollars in annual revenue. And Azure, their cloud business is growing at 47%. It's a significant growth driver for Microsoft and their earnings. So that's all the good news. Now, there were some bad news in terms of, or not so good news in terms of, with respect to the TikTok acquisition. So, TikTok, which is a social platform owned by Chinese based ByteDance, the company, which has got a billion users on its platform. It's raging a growing number of users on its platform. Everyone, especially youngsters, are utilizing this TikTok platform a lot. And near the start of the pandemic, it became the most downloaded app in single quarter. And now US has banned TikTok, as we have heard in the news, and has given an ultimatum to sell its US-based operations, or to sell it to somebody else or shut it down, which means Microsoft is a front runner with for the deal, and Microsoft most probably will walk away with a bargain for all the songs and dance of the TikTok. Now we have to wait and watch how Microsoft is going to acquire this. There will be a lot of turbulences, and let's watch. And Microsoft, for them, it was the only missing part in their whole puzzle, which is a social media, and I really don't consider LinkedIn in that group, and they have everything else. So that's the stock of the month, Microsoft Technologies. The next is a money tip, which is it's more of a rule rather than a tip. So do you know how long it takes to double your money? Have you ever wondered how much, if you have certain amount of money in your bank or in your investments, you know how much time it takes to double? Have you ever thought that? There is an easy hack for that. There is something called as rule of 72, which some of us would have heard. If not, the rule of 72 is, suppose you have your index, say S&P index, that's returning 9%, right? Overall compounded annual growth rate. So if it is returning 9% returns, it means that you have to divide by 72, which means you have to divide the returns, that is 9%, with 72. So 72 divided by 9, which gives you 8 years. So it takes 8 years to double your money. And it also applies other way. If you want to see how long it takes to double your money, suppose you want to double it in 6 years. Suppose you have 50k, you want to double it in 6 years, and it means that divide 72 over 6, so it gives you 12. So you need a 12% return to double your money every 6 years. So very simple rule, and helps us to arrive at some quick math. Now, book of the month. The book of the month I'm reading currently, I mean rather listening in Audible, is Buddha and the Badass, and the Secret Spiritual Art of Succeeding at Work. It's written by Vishen Lakiani, who's a founder of Mind Valley Institute, brilliant entrepreneur. He's written like, if you're an average person in the developed world, you spend 70% of your waking hours at work. And if you're the average person, you are miserable for most of those hours, because the surveys shows that 87 to 90% of people who are engaged in work or jobs are unhappy with their jobs. This is simply not an acceptable state of affairs for your one shot at life. So the book reveals that you need to have both archetypes of a badass and a Buddha to achieve success easily. Awakening the Buddha and the badass inside you is a process that will disrupt the way you work altogether. And it's a great listen in Audible, and you won't regret reading this. I mean, it's a great book. I'm still halfway through, and I'm sure the rest of the remaining half also will be valuable. Now, coming to the final segment, which is the personal mastery tip. One thing I learned from Tony Robbins' personal mastery class I had attended is about the state of mind, which is really key for peak performance. Most often when we wake up, we are in an anxious state, worried about many things ahead in the day, planning ahead of the day, and we seldom realize that we are not in that positive and peak state before starting our best part of the work, because we are not conscious enough to give attention to that. So once we start paying attention, as soon as we get up, or we just before we start our best part of the work day, I mean, we need to focus, bring the consciousness and alertness to see what is our state of mind. We have to elevate our state of mind to the peak, and this is something I learned. I'm trying. It is a tough exercise to practice every day, but it helps. So check your state consciously tomorrow onwards. It'll be a shocking revelation, I mean, discovery, that most of the times that state is not in a high state. And so, if you want to know more, listen to Tony Robbins on the peak state of performance in YouTube. So that's a personal mastery tip. Now let me end. This is the month of August, and we have the Indian Independence Day coming up on August 15th. And let me end the podcast with a great quote from the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world. It's a great quote I have heard, and said by Mahatma Gandhi. And with that positive note, let me end this podcast of August 2020, Financial Freedom with Sandeep Anand. Thanks for staying with me till now. Have a great day.